1Spatial, I've been at 1Spatial for around 6 years as the CEO, and we're listed on the AIM market. Our current market capitalisation is around 75 million, which is approximately around 2 times revenue. For those that have been following us may have recently spotted that IQ Geo, who are probably our nearest peer on the AIM market, have got a bid for them by KKR for 7 times their 2003 revenue. And I'd probably say that our growth story and our patented IP is stronger than IQ Geo's. So let's tell you a little bit about what we do at 1Spatial. So our headquarters is in Cambridge, and we are a software company. And we help companies make better use of their geospatial or location data, as it's otherwise known. And I think the best way to describe this is to look at a picture. So what is location and geospatial data? Well, what it is, it's data about the real world that we're in, the buildings, the roads, the underground assets. And if you want to make decisions about those types of assets, you need data of these things in systems so that you can make these important decisions. And systems that we do deal with a lot are called GIS systems, geospatial information systems. And in these systems, you get all of these different data layers around buildings, transportation, boundaries, water features, and underground utilities. And what we do is make sure that each of those data layers is accurate, consistent, and importantly, up to date, because assets and data is always constantly changing. And location and spatial data is more complex than normal data, because you've got everything is relative to each other. And all of these assets and data sets are just held by lots of different companies worldwide. So getting that consistency across them all is very, very important. And that's what I would say we are world leaders at. So here's just some examples of why accurate location data is so important. And it's being used by nations to make better decisions. Things like electric vehicles, maintaining their flood defences and improving response times for emergency services. And we're involved in this globally. So today I'm going to look at why investing in 1Spatial is a good thing for you. I'm going to look at tell you about why at 1Spatial we have a unique proposition to a global growing market. From a financial perspective, why we have a scalable business model with strong recurring revenues, giving that real visibility of line of sight of growth. And we have some transformational growth opportunities from our SaaS business. We're going to be focusing on one of those in particular today called One Streetworks, because this is a massive game changer for 1Spatial. So just going to take you on a quick overview of what we do at 1Spatial. Now, we've got 2 parts of our business. This first part of the business, the existing enterprise business, really is what's in the numbers that you're looking at today. This provides the expertise, reputation, and financial resources to build these high-margin SaaS solutions, which we've been doing over the last 5 years since I've been the CEO. Back to the enterprise business, we have this market-leading software platform for location master data management, helping our customers to make critical decisions from location data. And we have over 1,000 customers globally. And we're really growing those recurring revenues and increasing our geographic spread. You can see some fantastic names on the slide there, such as Google, UK Power Networks. We work with some powerful partners globally, because that's really important to our growth strategy, because we are small, we are an SME, and we need those big partners to get on the framework contracts. We've got past a real landmark because our recurring revenues are now over 50% of our total revenue. And we've got a geographic split there, UK, Ireland, Europe, US, and Australia. And US is probably our biggest growth potential territory. So we've been using the funds from this business to invest in these high-margin SaaS solutions. So we spent 5 million over the last 5 years. And we got two of them, one with OneStreetWorks with a 400 million market opportunity, and one in the US for NG911. And just because of time purposes, we're really going to focus on OneStreetWorks today. And we have Andy Fennell here today, who's at the back, who will be at the drinks. He has been pivotal to our growth. We've done enterprise solutions where we're building big solutions and helping big governments and nations with their data, but it's very, in certain respects, very horizontal. To build a very focused SaaS solution for something like Streetworks, you have to get the expertise in, and that's what Andy's given us. So we'll come back to OneStreetWorks and NG911 SaaS solutions in a moment, but we'll just now carry on a bit about what the enterprise business is. And we, as I mentioned earlier, we do have this unique proposition. We're in the middle of two key global growing markets. So on the left-hand side, we have the GIS market, which is very focused on location data, and this is growing. And on the right-hand side, we have your more mainstream master data management companies. But what we bring to our customers is the best of both worlds. We have the geospatial information expertise, but also just general data management. So we are system agnostic and we are data agnostic, and it's why we're winning some of the contracts that we are. And including one for the UK government, which is really important, that started around 3 years ago. And just to give you, this really gives a bit of an insight as to what we do. So if you have a look at the picture there, you can see that sea of pipes underground and sort of roadworks. Now, if you were Thames Water and you dig up there, you don't know what other pipes are there, the pipes that are owned by Cadent Gas or the other electricity companies. And the reason why, all of that data is sitting with all the different utility companies and the local authorities. And what we're doing for the UK government is to help to bring all of that data together, because they need a register of all that data. Now, the main use case for this is all around accidental strikes, and that's a cost to the UK economy of 1.2 billion per annum. So there's a real use case for doing this. But you can see that, the other reasons for doing things like this would be for like electric vehicle planning. So we're bringing in data for over 650 different asset providers, and we're using our software, which really has some of these unique qualities at very high scale and bringing in so much data. And these sort of projects are really replicable across other projects and geographies. So here's just a picture of our platform. So you can see at the bottom, this represents all the data that we can bring in from different sources. And then our patented rules engine is called OneIntegrate. And we bring everybody's data in through the One Data Gateway portal for sharing. And the key to our technology is all about rules. We get from the customer what rules should this data to comply with to be clean. And then we get going on the data. We validate it, clean it, synchronize it, and importantly, update it, because that's really important. And we can do some analysis on that data. And on the enterprise business is all around the sort of large data management projects, which we've talked about, like the National Asset Under Register. And we're doing a lot of work in the US with the likes of Caltrans, which is the Department of Transport in California. And when I came on board, we had one client in the US, which was the US Census, and now we're working with over 30 states in the US, which is remarkable. And we are using this powerful patented rules engine to create these SaaS solutions, which we're going to go into more detail on in a minute. So just in terms of NG911, this is about getting emergency services vehicles routed to the correct emergency. And we've won some contracts. We've won 8 states with our enterprise solution, but we're now extending our enterprise solution out to all the cities and counties, and there's 23,000 cities and counties. And we've just brought on, because I've learned from my lesson of using Andy Fennell, I've now brought on the NG911 expert who used to work for our customer in Minnesota. So she's really going to help drive that forward. So again, I'm going to have a look at the financials. We've got Stuart Ritchie, our CFO, here today. So if you want to, you can drill him when we're going for wine later on. He'll be pleased to answer your questions. So we're really evolving our business model. When we came on board, we were predominantly services-based and some perpetual licenses, but the real push is around building term license revenue, and then our ambition is to get to lots of SaaS revenues. And we have our last financial year end was January 2024, and you can see really good metrics across the board, particularly around the recurring revenue, and our term license revenue went up 60%, adjusted EBITDA 5.5. And we talked about earlier, one of AIM companies really keeping a lid on costs, and Stuart's absolutely amazing at that. But one of the things for us as well, as soon as we get those SaaS revenues hitting, it's all going to drop straight to the bottom line, because we've really got good control on those costs, and really the incremental cost of those SaaS solutions is not that significant. And we do have sufficient cash and banking facilities to cover all of our working capital requirements and the planned investment, which is good news. Okay, so going on to our growth strategy, we'll have a little bit look at the enterprise growth strategy. And as I mentioned earlier, we're going to focus on the 1Streetworks solution. So in our enterprise, for our location master data management part of the business, that's what we're doing now. And we keep to our core markets of government, utilities and transportation. And as I mentioned earlier, we're really underpinning national assets. And all of our customers have significant expansion opportunities. So we're targeting 10 to 15% growth in UK and Europe, but we're actually targeting 20 to 30% growth in the US. And importantly, on an ongoing basis, these projects really give us credibility, insight, and capital to launch additional SaaS solutions. So now I'm going to go into a little bit about 1Streetworks. So we talked about rules earlier, and all of the way that our rules engine work, that we have to encode the rules, and we have actually just approved there is a real rule book to do with this. Now, what 1Streetworks does is make sure you get a compliant layout of those streetworks and compliant with that rule book. Because if you don't, you'll get fines, and if there are fatalities, there are massive consequences. And I think this picture here really shows an issue of not having a traffic management layout, because I don't think you should really have a lady with a pram in the road. So, that is not done correctly. This, is such an exciting time for 1Spatial. We're really excited about this opportunity. So I wanted to just play a short video that we put together as a team, which summarises it nicely. So hopefully that gave you a bit of a good flavour about what 1Streetworks does. So it really creates these traffic management plans in an automated way. It has to comply with the rule book because we've encoded the rules engine. And we believe it's really because of our geospatial rules engine that we can do this. We don't believe anybody else can do it because they don't have the geospatial rules engine like we do. So it is the first solution in the market to fully automate the production of traffic management plans, significantly reducing time and cost. Very much at the moment, it's done very manually. There's all sorts of going out to site, coming back, lots of wasted time. And at the moment, there's currently over 4 million of roadworks on a year on low-speed roads alone. So we're only currently doing low-speed roads. We haven't thought about high-speed roads and other geographies yet. And this gives us a market of 400 million of ARR. And remember, this isn't in our current numbers. This is all new. So, and this really is all estimated to increase, in response to electrification of the UK, to support net zero and the rollout of new telecoms fibres, telecoms fibre. So just to summarise, really, again, this is a pure SaaS solution. There's no services. It's quick to access and one platform to maintain. So it's very, very profitable. Gross margins of 80%. And we're very excited because in this new financial year, we signed our first significant annual licence at UK Power Networks. They think it's amazing. We're getting fantastic traction at all the trade events. Everybody's inbound saying, now, we want to get involved in this. How can we get involved in it? Because it's all very manual at the moment. So we've got lots of trials underway and a really good growing pipeline. So we've set ourselves a 5-year ambition to really grow to 40 million of annual recurring revenue from 1Streetworks, which will give us these really fantastic EBITDA margins. So just really to summarise with the sort of 3 points that I made at the beginning. So why invest in 1Spatial? Well, firstly, 1Spatial as a whole, we really do have a unique proposition to a growing global market. We have fantastic data expertise that we've been building up over the last 20 years or so. We have a patented world-class rules engine with significant differentiation, and we have a valuable customer base. From a financials perspective, we have a scalable business model, and we are building strong recurring revenues, and we have significant growth potential, and we have the cash resources and facilities to execute on our proposition. And on top of that, we have these transformational growth opportunities from our SaaS businesses. There are significant market opportunities in the US for 1Streetworks and in the US for NG911, with gross margins of around 80% or so. And this SaaS EBITDA margin really has the potential to transform the 1Spatial group. And that's it. I'm done for questions and disclaimer.
Okay, thank you very much, Claire. Do you have questions, please? Gentleman at the back there, please, Chris. Thank you.
That was very interesting. I hadn't heard of your company before. 2 questions, if I may. Firstly, if the utility works has the data and you take on the legal obligation for having the data right for central government, isn't there a risk that your data's out of date because of the utility company, but you carry the can? And secondly, why was KKR selected for a takeover when you're the market leader and therefore ideally have better value proposition? Thank you.
Yeah. So we just provide the technology to the government. We don't get any involvement in the legals. The government signs up the legal agreement with the utility who then supplies the data. So we just have the platform. So we don't have any of those obligations. The second point about KKR making a bid for IQGeo. So I'd say IQGeo are in the geospatial business. They don't do exactly what we do. We focus more on the data. They're more on the apps. And I can't tell you why KKR have gone for them first rather than us. But who knows what might happen.
Questions for Claire, please. I had one about the SaaS model. And I think you might have answered it. But do you envisage customers paying on an annual or monthly fee, or is it per plan?
Per plan, yes, it is per plan. That's the plan. Yeah, so UK Power Nets have signed up on a per plan basis. We have agreed a certain, threshold in terms of they'll do this, I can't remember the amount now, but I think it was 350k we signed up with them as a minimum. So, yeah, if they go over the number of plans, they'd have to pay us more, but if they're under, they still have to pay the 350k.
Question here, please. Thank you.
Thank you. Presumably you're using the company's CAD-based systems originally to provide the data. How are those validated in real terms, and what's the liability for your company as a result of them not validating properly?
Which data, which CAD systems are you talking about for the enterprise business, for the buildings?
Well, if you go back for the original data, you're going to be taking their electricity pipeline networks underground, etc., etc. And the validation of that data is quite loose at times in historical terms. So how do you validate it now, or do you not validate it yourselves? We have a contractual basis that we have with our customers, and we will bring in the data that they supply to us. And if the contract terms say that you will validate the data, we will do that for them, but that we will do it in conjunction with them. So sometimes we can get the data to 80% or 90%, but we would agree those thresholds and parameters with them. Okay, but what's your liability?
We don't have any liability.
Okay.
Yeah.
So just to clarify, because that seems a point a couple of people have raised, I think the question is, certainly in the UK, you have loads of old infrastructure, old pipes and cables everywhere, and the data around that infrastructure might be patchy or inaccurate. Where does that all come from? Where does that kind of come into the 1Spatial?
It comes from all the different asset owners. So all we do is provide the platform to bring the data in. If they want us to do some extra work on data quality, we can do that. That's one of the things on our OneIntegrate. So for example, at the moment, we're helping some of the water companies actually map pipes where they don't know where they are. And we use our rules engine we can do some whizzy things. It's machine learning, basically. So if you know if there was a set of terrace houses and they were built in a certain period, say in the 1960s, you know likely that the pipe underground from the water would come in at this point into those terrace houses. It would go along. So we write rules to infer it. Then we would go out with their teams and we'd say, oh yeah, actually that is where the pipe is or not, and then we adjust the rules. So it's an iterative process, but what a lot of your utility companies would do, they would have a data layer. Remember the layers, they would have a data layer that could be this was surveyed, so it's probably likely to be 100% accurate. This might be the inferred layer that we help them to create, and then there might be other ways. They might have got old map records that they might have digitised. And what they do is, they might use, sometimes if it's really important, they'll just go and look at it. But sometimes for some information they might need for the regulator, like calculate the whole length of pipe you've got on the network, they'll use lots of different data sources, including our inferred layer, to come up with that. So we can do lots of interesting things with our technology.
Okay, thank you.